Yeah, I took a lot of lessons from I would just always think about my favorite teachers, whether from university
Yeah.
or schools, and try to just use little bits of what I liked just so that I could, mold the kind of teacher I wanted to be. But my original strategy was to be like a very strict authoritarian in the classroom
Really?
and have all the students, yeah, like have all the students, have almost like fear when I would walk in, so pretty much they knew off the bat that they couldn't get out of line. So I would always err on the side of like being more strict and kind of demanding respect in that way. And then later on, I had it with the vision that later on I would, start giving them more concessions, start being a little bit kinder. And then once I knew that they were calmed down, I would be, more joking. So that way you get the respect first, and then,
Mm-hmm.
then the love, I guess, comes after.
Yeah.
That was my first plan when I was 23. Now I'm kind of realizing how to just not have to do that. I don't think I've been too strict with the class in, about a couple of years ever since my first year ended. Um, and it's just kind of, dealing with picking your battles. So many times I've seen teachers like lose their cool and almost get into arguments with children. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
looking at it like it's a child. Come on now. Like you can't really take anything personal. Yeah, I mean, the kids forget everything the next day. So why can't the teacher? It's really just you don't really get respect by shouting or by being too hard on the kids. It's just kind of about knowing how to manage them.
Yeah, and I think if the students are enjoying the class and you know they'll start to respect you if they enjoy the class. And it's not that it's just they're having fun all the time, but they recognize that you're treating them nicely and you mean well. I think at most, for the most part, it ends up working out. But I know that classroom management has always been something that I've not really enjoyed as a teacher, and that's why I've enjoyed working with older students, like university level students and adults, just because
Mhm.
I don't have to listen to them crying about something. But I would say I definitely agree with the short memory thing. You can yell at a kid, and then the next day it's forgotten. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Like definitely it's easier to talk to people that have more cognitive abilities developed. Yeah, I realized myself early on that I am very fortunate I never took a kindergarten job because that's not the kind of
Mm.
teaching I was set out for.
No, I have a friend who teaches that age group, and it's a different world. It's a different world altogether. All right. Well, apart from teaching, what would you like to do in your free time in Korea? I know personally you have your own YouTube channel, so I know you've been working on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you can share a little bit about what you like to do in your free time. You can plug your channel.
Yeah, I mean my channel is just my name, not a lot of fanfare or creativity behind that. But yeah, teaching coming out, I didn't come out specifically to be a teacher. I know that sounds a lot like a cliche of what teaching overseas is.
Yeah.
Well, I mostly was interested in just traveling, gaining experiences. So one thing I really got immersed in out here in Korea was the local sports scene. I started up making videos with the vision of going pretty much around the world if I could, starting out in Korea because that was where I was living, and just covering sports for all over the world because you don't really see the fan experiences of, let's say, soccer game in Vietnam, where that is everything to the local community. That's
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people spend their money to go
Mm-hmm.
out and watch their local teams. Everyone has, a favorite sports team in their city. And not a lot of it was covered. So I went to a mega league here, which is Korean baseball. So big that it even got coverage this past year by ESPN. They're showing games every early morning.
Every
And I
day.
just wanted to go
Yeah.
out. Yeah, I just wanted to go out and cover very unique fan experiences where tickets are cheap, concessions are fairly priced, and it's pretty much a very free area where they don't really have any concern over local terrorist attacks or anything. So security
Mm-hmm.
check is minimal. You can bring anything you want into the stadium. So fans bring in, cases of beer and just have a great time. So that was my goal, kind of going around to all of the different baseball parks here in Korea. I even got to go to a baseball game out in Japan last year. Sadly, Corona has kind of shut that down
Yeah.
this year, but it's a great time. Korean baseball, definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah. Would you say Korean baseball is more fun than American baseball?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the MLB anymore.
Hmm.
I've barely watched any games, even though my team's doing pretty well. And I'm not a huge fan of baseball itself anymore as much as I used to be, but I was a big fan of just going to the games and just being part of the fan experience. So I definitely recommend it. In the case of like it's like European soccer mixed in with baseball. So the whole times there's a huge cheering section and the fans are loud whenever their team's up to bat. Whereas in the MLB, it's kind of just everyone's dispersed and people are just very quiet and it's like almost like golf claps. Um, what one famous like Korean super fan who is down in Busan said is something like baseball in the MLB is similar to an opera, whereas Korean baseball is like rock and roll concert.
Hmm.
So yeah, I definitely had a fun time going around.
Nice. Yeah, I would say, not to go on too much of a tangent, but with sports, I've seen the videos that you posted, and it actually looks like people are having a great time. And baseball's not an action sport where every second, you're seeing people dunk and jump over things, and it's it's a it's a smart game. There's a lot of strategy. But I know watching your videos, it's cool to see all the chants and people get excited. And on the TV here, when they were showing like one of the super fans, and they had a song for every single player, and
Yeah.
they would they get really into it, and they have the giant mascots and everything. Swole Daddy is one of the mascots.
Mhm.
Great. So last but not least, I would just like to know if you have any advice for people who might be interested in teaching either in Korea or just overseas in general.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for other countries because it's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
But for anyone thinking about teaching abroad in Korea, just do your research. I mean, it's not really that hard to figure out. Like myself, I just went on Reddit and then, found some teaching forums where they have a lot of jobs posted and you get in touch with recruiters. The recruiters send you jobs, you sift through which ones you think look like the best and then get your interviews. And yeah, it's not too hard to secure a position out here in Korea. Things are changing right now, of course, with Corona. It's hard for people overseas to get into Korea.
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends that have had 3 years of experience of teaching and they've left, and they're having trouble coming back since they're kind of looking to hire more domestically
Mm-hmm.
with foreigners that are still in the country. But I really recommend, if it ever goes back to normal times, just to go for it. If you have any idea and you're young and you have a lot of time ahead of you, there's no point in doing it now. Like I was 23 with a thought of maybe I wanted to do it. I just did it because there was always time at 26 or 27 to go out and, get that entry job that I wanted 3 years earlier because you have a lot of time when you're young. Maybe you don't have the best money, but time is the most valuable asset. So I just recommend doing it, go for it.
Yeah, as someone who's also taught overseas, I definitely agree with that. It's definitely been one of the best experiences I've had, and it's apart from the teaching experience itself, when you're overseas, you end up visiting other countries. Like you said, you went to Japan, and
Yeah.
you're just closer to other places, and everywhere you go is new. So it's a great experience. Um, you don't necessarily need to have taught before to be able to do it. I know a lot of people say, "Well, I've never taught before. I don't know how to do it." You didn't come from a teaching background and now you're in it, and I'm sure you're doing a great job.
At the same time, teaching isn't for everybody. You definitely have to do some soul searching before you come out for the job because if you have trouble, with conflict or if you have trouble dealing with hard and fast situations, that you don't really have a lot of control over, it could be very frustrating. There's definitely a lot of teachers that have burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
but there's 55 million videos on YouTube about why you shouldn't teach overseas, and there's a lot about why you should. I lean more on the good reasons after doing it for a couple years, where there's more reasons why you should do it than why you shouldn't. There really isn't any reason to be scared of trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 year goes by a lot quicker than you think it would. So, why not try it out? And you can always find out whether or not it's not for you once you're already having the experience.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think teaching is easy by any means. I think, basically what I meant is it's easy to get into. It's easy to, get hired to teach overseas, especially if English is your first language. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. It's definitely a learning experience. It's definitely a challenge, especially, being in another country and trying to just learn how to get by. But it's definitely something I definitely recommend doing, and sounds like you do as well. So I would like to say thank you for participating in my channel. I will post a link to your channel for any of my subscribers who would like to be subscribers on your channel. So a little cross promotion there, and I appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, yeah, awesome talk. Yeah, make sure like, subscribe, smash that like button, hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah,
I never say that on my channel, so I might as well just say it on yours.
you got to
I
plug
can
it,
feel
man.
like a it can feel like a real YouTuber.
You got to plug it. All right, man. Good to see you.
All right, take care.